All right, so welcome you all. It is another great Friday here on the Loyalty and Friends Self Love Podcast, and today we got Miss Christine Kellogg. I am very excited to have her in this conversation. We did part one of this interview on Instagram Live, so if you can go to the Loyalty in Everything, no slang, okay? So spell out the word in, I-N, Loyalty in Everything. You can go to the Instagram and you can find our first part, okay? So Miss Christine is here to talk about female-led relationships, and I know some of y'all like, what? Female-led relationships? Absolutely, okay? And it's part of her daily lives. She is in part of that community, but we're here to educate you all, okay? For those who may not know, who may have questions, we want to hear your questions, okay? And I did screenshot some of those other questions that we got. So very interesting for this conversation just overall. So let's give them a brief introduction just to kind of, let this audience know, for those who may not know, like, who are you and what we're going to be discussing.
My name is Christine Kellogg. I'm the host of Christine's FLR podcast. I live a female-led relationship with my husband, who I lovingly refer to as my subby. A female-led relationship, female-centered relationship, just a brief overview of what that is I'm the dominant in our relationship. He's the submissive, and he basically submits to me, or does whatever he can to make my life easier or things smoother in my day to day, all of that. It's really what you make it. Ours has evolved. We've been living this lifestyle for about 8 years, and 3 years ago we started this podcast together, or I started it because I felt like I didn't have anybody to talk to when this whole topic was presented to me, because it was presented to me by my subby. He wanted to enter into this dynamic, and I had no idea what it was. So I'm just sharing all of it, and it's a real life view, and it's not for everyone, and that's okay.
Yes, indeed, and we get it. Like, it's your preference, okay? And there are different levels when it comes to this
Mm-hmm.
female-led relationship community, and you can kind of make it what you choose. So I know I had one of the guests who was on our first part. He was asking, like, basically, like, there's no foundation to female-led. Like, like, what are the bases for it to even be considered a female-led relationship? So I get his questions, but it's like, it's kind of fine. It's just like if you were in a poly relationship,
Mm-hmm.
okay? That doesn't look the same for everybody either.
Nope.
There's different rules, and it's all about the communication and what the parties involved agree upon, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, it's not going to be like a black and white. It's a very gray area,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of tune into this. So, can you share a little bit more personal about your female-led relationship?
So our female-led relationship, my husband came to me and said, he had experienced different aspects of, because, you say lifestyle, and that encompasses a lot. People say they're in the lifestyle. That can mean a numerous amount of things. So he has tiptoed into other aspects of the lifestyle, as far as swinging and cuckolding and things like that. But he came to me and he said, I would like to give this a try. I would like to be submissive to you. Here's what this looks like to me. And in the beginning, it might have had a little bit more of a fantasy spin to it, because there is definitely an element of this relationship that is very sexy and very fantasy oriented. But when you get down to the real nuts and bolts of it, this is the healthiest relationship I've ever been in. Our communication, there's nothing I wouldn't tell my husband. We're open. There's so much more trust than I've ever experienced. And I've never been more confident in my role as a woman, or felt so empowered as I have since him and I have been in this relationship. He supports me unconditionally. And, there's always bumps in the road. And this relationship really, labels, I'm not a huge fan of labels. Some people, it really helps them wrap their head around what they're looking for in this dynamic. So female-led, female-centered, female-led marriage, however you want to label it. But at the end of the day, it's whatever works for you and your partner. And it can be things of, like for us, I control the money and I make the decisions. Now, when there's big decisions, like all of our vehicles are in my name, things like that. Uh, it has to be what you both agree on. You can't Well, and you can. I mean, it really is whatever you make it. The female can come in and steamroll and say, as long as the other person is consenting, I'm going to control everything. I'm going to control all the money. You don't have any say. You get an allowance every week. I mean, it's really whatever it looks like that works for you and your partner. I'm a very nurturing person by nature. So I have always said I'm kind of more of a nurturing dominant in our dynamic, and that will evolve and that can change, and maybe I won't always be so nurturing, but I mean, I have the utmost respect for my husband. I think he is the strongest man I've ever met, and when I call him my subby, it's not in any way demeaning. He is my soulmate, he's my other half, and I love him unconditionally.
Oh wow, so that is amazing. So I don't know if you remember the question that I asked you before we ended the first part, because there was a young man who said he was about 19 and he was in some type of, what did he say, sea cage?
Micro chastity device. So
Yes. Let's
there's
talk
a
about that.
yeah, a female-led relationship does not, I mean, and this is the easiest way I can describe it. A female-led relationship is like a scoop of vanilla ice cream or a scoop of ice cream, whatever your flavor, strawberry, chocolate, whatever you prefer. And there are other little elements that you can add to this ice cream: chocolate syrup, vanilla, yeah, strawberry syrup, sprinkles, gummy bears, things like that. So when you're in a female-led relationship, that's entirely aside from practicing chastity, which is what this young man is doing. So practicing chastity means that you are for men, you're locking your penis in a device that doesn't allow you to, most of them don't allow you to masturbate or even get an erection, specifically this kind that he's referring to. I mean, it's small. Um, that you don't have to participate that to be in a female-led relationship. That's just like a sprinkle that you would add to the ice cream if that's something that appeals to you. And that is a whole topic on its own. People get very scared. Now, this young man is 19 years old, and
Right.
um we do practice chastity, and we do it on a regular basis. However, it is not, just because you're in chastity does not mean that you don't have intimate relationships or intimate relations with your significant other. You make whatever your chastity journey looks like your own. They could just wear it during the day for a few hours. They could wear it 24/7, and then the dominant, or in my case, I choose when I want to take it off, how long it's off for, all of that. And now this has all been sat down and talked about prior. And just for the record, because a lot of men jump to, oh my God, why is she locking it up? He came to me and asked me. A lot of men are interested in this aspect of a relationship because there is a very intimate connection with your partner. Take away the sex, the intimate connection that my husband and I have when he's locked in chastity is insane. Like, I've never experienced that connection or the amount of trust that you have to have. So him saying that he's been locked for a year, and what do I think about that? At 19, I don't know that I don't my personal opinion, I don't know that you're mentally ready. That's a big commitment, I think, at 19 years old, especially for males. They're still developing, and yes, you may enjoy it, but I absolutely think that you should give yourself some time off, and I also think that you should be ejaculating on a more regular basis, but that's just my opinion. I'm not a doctor.
Right, right. And I heard there are some health benefits to masturbation. So, this is a little education. So, this is for the really grown and mature audience. I do want to kind of put that disclosure out there for sure. So, definitely conversation for the mature audience who can truly handle what we're discussing. Okay. And we're going to be here just a few more moments. If you all have questions, I'm going to encourage you all to join us on Clubhouse. Okay, so download Clubhouse if you don't already have it, but if you do, join us in the conversation on Clubhouse because you can ask questions and really kind of dive even more. You don't have to be seen, okay? So if you're worried about showing your face, that's the safety net for you when it comes to Clubhouse, is that you're not saying, you just heard, okay? And also, if you want to have a one-on-one with Christine, join on OWL, okay?
Mhm.
Come on the OWL network, and that's OWWLL. Download OWL today. If you need a referral code, I can give you mine's loyalty. Do you know your referral code, Christine?
FLR.
All right, FLR. So use one of those referral codes to get to get 10% off. Not 10%, but $10 bonus. Okay, $10 bonus to start you on your journey, and you can use that $10 bonus to connect with Christine, myself, or whoever of your choice. But also come on in, we can show you all how to monetize as well. Okay, on the OWL app. But Christine, man, I got so many more questions. Ooh, ooh.
Ask
Yes, because
away.
there's different levels to this,
Mhm.
and especially when it comes to the sexual aspect of it.
Mhm.
So I definitely want to get into that in our Q&A for those who would like to join us for sure. But for you, this will be my last question for you here, and then we'll, of course, at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will start on Clubhouse. But has it changed the sexual dynamics for you and your husband?
It's interesting. The relationship itself, yes, because my um acts of love are like him showing me that he loves me are small, simple things that he does. Like acts of service make me feel loved and make me, yeah, I don't know, it's like what makes me happy. And I have never had this intimate of a relationship. And I was married for almost 15 years prior to meeting my husband. And it was a
Wow.
very toxic relationship, as was the relationship after that. And then I met my husband, and um it I, our intimacy is out of this world, and just the connection. I mean, even if you take the intimacy away, the connection that I have with this man is insane. The there's literally nothing I'm not there's nothing I wouldn't tell him. I've never had a partner that I was that open and honest with. I mean, he literally knows me inside and out, as do I know him inside and out. Anything, you know, everybody has those kinky little secrets that they're like, "Ooh, I think that would be kind of hot." Maybe it's just a fantasy, you'd never really live it out, but like anything like that, I can talk to him. Anything that would be embarrassing that I normally wouldn't want to admit, I can have an open conversation with him. I honestly have never been more confident as a woman. I have never felt more empowered, and I have never felt more loved than I have since being in this dynamic. I mean, taking the sex aspect or any of the other sprinkles that go with it out, this is the best relationship I've ever been in, and I feel like it is the healthiest relationship I've ever been in.
Wow. So, do you have a little secret you could share with us on the podcast? Like one of those secrets that kind of was like you was afraid to kind of out, let it out, and then you told him, and he was more open to it than what you thought.
Well, I mean, he is really up for anything that gets my goat. Anything that gets me going, he's like, "Yeah, I'm down for it." But I think the biggest one is like the campground that we're at, the clothing optional lifestyle campground. Never in a million years did I think I'd be here. And I'm like, "God, that'd be kind of cool to go check one of those out." And he's like, "Oh, I'm game." I'm like, "What?
So
Really?"
hold on, it's a campground. Clothing is optional, so that means some people are nude, some people aren't
Mhm.
nude. It may be topless, bottomless, all the above.
Yep.
Oh
And
wow.
it's also a lifestyle campground, because there are just nudist campgrounds where, like, if you are a naked male and you start to feel yourself becoming aroused, you need to remove yourself from the crowd immediately. It's not acceptable. This is a lifestyle campground, so that means that mainly that means that there's a bunch of swingers here. That's really what it entails. Is there's people that swing, but there's all these other kinds of dynamics here too. Or sometimes they'll have like a fetish weekend where people who have certain kinks, like there's BDSM groups or conventions that they hold here and things like that. And it's so interesting to learn what other people enjoy and why. Not necessarily the sexual aspect of it, but what's the mental aspect of it? What does this bring you? Like, is it a serotonin release? Is it, a dopamine release? What is it that makes you interested in this? Or when did you notice you were starting to be interested in this. Like I never thought that I would be into spanking my husband, and I very much enjoy it, as does he. So, but that's a whole nother avenue also. Much like
Yes,
the
we're gonna have to
chastity.
get into it. So yes, you all, I would encourage you, if you're interested, if this, piques your interest, connect with Christine. You can connect with her on all social media platforms at Christine Kellogg, and Christine is spelled
K
Krystine. I mean, not C, K,
KRY.
Krystine.
Yep.
Kellogg, like the cereal, as I
Yep.
say. For sure. And then what's your website so they can have it as well?
It's KristineKellogg.com. KristineKellogg.com.
Absolutely, man. This conversation is amazing. But you all stay tuned because we got part 3. It's a Q&A, so you can actually be a part of this conversation, engage. If you got questions or you're curious just to know about, you don't necessarily have to be in the lifestyle, but you're just curious and you have questions, come ask. We want to hear your questions, okay? But yes, we will be on Clubhouse at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're hoping to see you there, okay? So I will be back here again, not next Friday, but the following Friday. I got to take a break, you all. Just 1 week, but I will be returning the last Friday of the month. But thank you so much, Christine. It has been amazing to have you. And I see us following up on this, okay? Because I think we got to keep educating others,
I
just
love
on
it.
the lifestyle. And, so they can have a more realistic approach when it comes to it. Because it may be something they're interested in, but just didn't know how to approach it. So
Right.
I thank you just for your knowledge and your feed, for sure.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. So we are signing out, you all, and hopefully we'll see y'all on Clubhouse. Later.
Bye.
Bye.